So I was walking my fucking dog.
Yeah.
I love him so much. And then I came back from walking my dog, and I got the mail on my way back up to the apartment. And I was like fucking around, pressed the elevator button. Riley loves to run into the elevator as soon as it opens. So he ran into the elevator as soon as it opened. And I was like, okay. And then I started to go into the elevator. I dropped all my fucking mail on the ground. God damn it. But my dog's in the elevator. It's about to go up. I'm like, oh, fucking my dog's going to like get choked to death because I have great fears, a lot of anxiety. And so I rushed to grab the mail off the fucking ground, and I'm like I literally like straight up infomercial. I'm dropping a piece, I'm grabbing it, I'm dropping a piece. And then because I'm wearing a mask, because it's a fucking pandemic and I'm not a psychopath, but when you have a mask on and you've got your glasses on, it like creates a little slippery situation on your little ears, you know? And then this slip side all around, and I was bending over picking up the fucking mail, and then my glasses
can't relate.
And I'm like, Kat, I don't want to talk to you right now. Happy birthday, by the way. And and I'm I feel them going down my nose, and I'm like, God damn it. And I'm like ready to push my fucking glasses back up, but then they fall all the way off.
Right, and it's like when your glasses are starting to fall off, like you have that thing where it's like, they're falling off. Is it worth getting them? I'm already bent over.
Literally.
So, like, what's the worst that could happen if they just fall off?
But you were leaning over an elevator shaft during
No. I was like leaning over I was outside of the elevator. They fell onto the ground. And then the elevator is like about to fucking close. And I'm like, God damn, my glasses are on the ground. Half the fucking mail's on the ground still. And like my dog is in the elevator. It's going to close on his leash, and then it's going to go up, and he's going to die.
Yeah.
And I was so fucking scared. And so I rush to get in front of the elevator door so it doesn't close and my dog doesn't die. And then I kick something. And I can't see shit. I literally can't. I can't see fucking shit. And I kick it, and I hear it go clack, clack, and I'm like, but I thought I just kicked my glasses into the elevator. I was like, surely they're too big to fit into like the little slot, right? Like there's no fucking way. They've got like, whatever. And I'm like, oh, God damn it. So I get the mail. I'm in front of the elevator. I'm like, Riot, like, fucking, I gotta go find my glasses. And I'm like looking in the elevator. I can't see shit. I'm literally like squatting on the ground, peering around to try to find my glasses. I go outside the elevator to look. I'm like, maybe I kicked them backwards or something, and I'm stupid and I can't tell the direction of sound. Sorry, Noelle. I wouldn't have an excuse though.
Because people can't tell the direction of sound
they're just idiots.
Are stupid.
They're all dumb. Then I go out and I can't fucking find them out there, and then I'm like, whatever, I can't handle this, and so I go back into the elevator and I just go home without my glasses. And I'm very sure still that they're like down on the ground somewhere, and I was just too fucking blind to see them.
Oh.
So I grabbed my spare pair of glasses, which I didn't actually know I had until this incident. But yes, thank God. And then I go back down to look for my glasses, and they're not there.
Oh,
and
God.
I'm like, no way has somebody picked up my glasses in the past 5 fucking minutes.
Oh,
and I'm like, I don't want it to be true, but I go down to the bottom floor in the parking garage, and I take out my little phone, I turn on the flashlight, and I peer into the crack. And inside the crack, at the very bottom, are my glasses.
Wow.
Yeah. And they're still
inside the crack. A
Inside
very
the crack.
have you checked your butthole situation.
It really was. It really was. And they're still there.
Well, I think it was really wonderful of you to provide that charitable donation to the elevator shaft man.
Yeah.
He's been having trouble reading for a while.
Well,
Yeah.
I thought, it was an accident, but I was like, let him have this.
Give him a break.
Yeah, let him have this. My mom was like, you should call the maintenance men and have them go get it.
No,
and I was like, and put the elevator shaft man in jeopardy like
I
that?
know, like he can't see without his glasses.
Can't fucking see without his
Maintenance
glasses.
men are the natural predators.
They are. Do you know how many elevator shaft men per capita are killed?
Every year.
Every fucking year.
I don't think that's what per capita means.
I don't
Per capita every
per
year.
capita every year per capita.
Per capita.
Every year.
Every year per capita.
Yeah.
I had a similar experience, actually.
Yeah.
I don't think it's funny enough, but I'll just tell you. Let's just get into it.
Let's just do it.
So the other night, I had my AirPod in, and I went to sleep, and then I got up and had to pee. And then I had my hair tied up, but it was falling out. And so I bent over to flush the toilet, and then my hair fell out, and I was like, no, my scrunchie is gonna fall into the toilet, and I grabbed it, and then my AirPod like fell out into the toilet bowl.
Oh no.
But it bounced off of the part where there wasn't water and bounced out of the toilet.
Oh my fucking
and
God.
fucking vaporized.
What you fucking witnessed?
And
That was a battle between God and the devil.
I know.
And the devil fucking won.
I know he took my AirPods. It's now
Fucked up,
It's
dude.
AirPod
Jeez,
now.
I'm
Do
so
you
sorry.
remember when I dropped my phone in your toilet that one time?
Yes, I do, because I think, did that happen? Well, I think it happened more than once.
No, no, it was just the one fucking time.
Are you sure?
Because I screamed really loud and then I threw
Weren't we recording the podcast at the time?
Were we?
Were we? I don't remember
like
this.
We were.
Oh my God, were we?
It was like one of the first episodes.
Yeah, maybe it was. Because it was like, I was downstairs. It was the bathroom downstairs at your parents' house. Yeah.
Well,
Wow.
so the lesson to be learned, children, is don't drop your shit.
Don't fucking drop your shit.
Just don't.
Glue everything you own to your body.
Or do drop your shit, because, the sewer man is down there and he needs to listen to music.
All right, let's play D&D. So last time, what happened last time? Mary and Corbin, you guys made your way to the shady businessman in the warehouse district, and absent any other plan or brain cells, grabbed just everything from his office and ran away with it. Meanwhile, Slake and Selny struck out and were struck by the Strata family, failed to convince the Noble family to speak at the trial, and then Fran, you had a fun little library date with your boyfriend's cosmic evil twin. So after all of that, you guys got together at like a little tea shop, and you talked strategy. You talked legal strategy. And then Fran turned you all into lawyers with big hair and receding headlines and sweaty polyester suits, and you headed to the amphitheater to face your trial. And that is where we are now.
Yeah.
Also, part of my disguise is that I have papers and I'm constantly like tapping them on everything near me to like get them to be like straight.
All right. So Selny takes you guys around to the back of the amphitheater, where there is a guard at a back door who's looking very sleepy. Mm-hmm. And she just very, very casually, she does not stop moving. She does not make eye contact. But she flips one single coin to this guy, and he like looks down at it and like, ooh. And by the time he looks back up, you guys are through the door. And Sally goes, all right, that trick's only going to work once. So just play it cool from here on out.
I stack my papers.
Please make performance checks.
Can we get advantage because we are in these amazing costumes?
Sure.
I'm gonna
bad.
cast. Hold on.
Guidance or something?
Yeah.
Now, whoever's going to talk the most.
Me.
Okay, I'll give.
Because I think like we decided I was
Yeah,
going to be
you're
the lawyer.
gonna be the head lawyer. Yeah. Hold on.
I think we all have like 0 performance.
None of us have good performance.
No, none of you are bards.
I touch you and I cast guidance on you.
Okay,
Fran.
so that gives me
So,
plus.
Yeah, you get to add a D4
Okay.
to your roll.
Okay.
And I have advantage. So hopefully that means something.
Mary rolled very badly, and so you see Mary, like, she's in the back, and she's standing very, very straight. She is clutching papers so tightly that they are wrinkled in her hands and, like, visibly damp.
Oh my God, Mary. She wasn't made to be a lawyer.
You know, she was raised to be an omnipotent, all-knowing goddess who never had to explain herself.
Oh, phew. Okay, so my highest roll was a 14, and then I rolled a 4. So I got an 18.
Okay, all right, Fran. Corbin, Slake?
I got 11.
I got 12.
We're gonna do great.
We
I'm the head lawyer. You guys just shut up.
did very good.
Feel like
Right.
I'm gonna die.
Selly looks at you guys and goes, well, here goes something. All right, and she has brought you guys through like a tunnel to a looks like a gateway, and is waiting just inside of it. From this vantage point, you are able to watch as the 9 counselors of the Dwarven Council file out from a doorway on the opposite side of the amphitheater and seat themselves at a very tall, long table. There are refreshments and things set along the table, and the counselors all find their seats and start, it seems like a very casual affair to them. They've got pitcher with some drinks in it, and there's some grapes and nuts, and they're just snacking and chatting while in the rest of the amphitheater, a crowd of nobility have gathered and are settling in. You see Councilman Tairn specifically. He is seated at the center of this long table, and he is not eating any of the refreshments that are sitting on the table. He instead has a small knife, and he is cutting slivers off of a piece of meat that he holds in one hand. And is consuming these pieces raw, scanning the crowd as the counselors wait for the king to arrive.
That is 100% dwarf meat.
How has he not just been arrested for being a bummer?
Yeah, is that considered normal?
This bitch is straight up Hannibal.
Selmy shakes her head and says, "He's always been weird. I did not think to ask what kind of meat he eats."
But I mean, does anyone down here just eat chunks of raw meat in public?
Y'all just sleeping on this dude? He's just like this, and you guys are just like, yeah, that's my counselor.
Power and privilege protect a lot. All right. So after everybody is seated and the nobility in the stands has settled down a little bit, the king arrives from a grand gilded gate on another side of the amphitheater with much ceremony and fanfare as trumpets blare and banners are unfurled from the ceiling in glittering gold. And the king walks to a extremely tall throne that sits above the council table, which he is helped onto and sits presiding above the council. And can you guys make me a perception checks?
Perception.
Yeah. Yep.
Oh, hey. 21.
21. Okay. Anybody get higher?
Nope.
I got a natural 1.
Oh, Corbin, you are so distracted watching the counselors eat.
Yeah, I'm like obsessed.
Your eyes are locked on that piece of meat in Taryn's hand.
I feel like Corbin right now is literally going through like a morality issue in regards to his desire to eat any and everything he sees, but also his unwillingness to eat the flesh of sentient, intelligent creatures.
Wow.
Yeah.
You're literally and actually are like the Will to the Hannibal in the room. You're the only one that's like, I'm obsessed with him and I know he's the killer, and everyone else is like, it seems normal that he eats raw meat.
Exactly what's
His
happening.
name is fucking Hannibal.
That's exactly what's
Hannibal the
happening.
Herderer.
Yeah, his name is Heron the Herderer.
That's exactly what's going on.
Yes, but Slake, you just catch a glimpse of this. You don't have a good view from down here, but there are guards on this is like an open ceiling amphitheater, and there are guards along the top of the amphitheater. And you see just briefly one of the guards falls over. And the king begins to speak. He says, "Honored council, noble citizens, thank you for attending this trial. These last few weeks have been troubling, with invaders pounding at our doors, and now intruders spreading magic and terror through the city. These 4 intruders, which we have learned go by the names Slake, Corbin, Mary, and Fran, have sowed chaos throughout our city. They are responsible for the destruction and terror at the Grand Gate tracks yesterday, and for the attack on the Titacairn last evening, and the direct attack on the life of one of our venerated counselors. Does anyone speak in their defense?"
This is our moment, boys.
This is our moment.
Jesus.
This is our moment.
I stomp my little kitten heels
Yes!
out onto the floor, and I step forward to the table that they've prepared for the defense.
Yes, there is like a very small, rickety, empty table.
And then I reach into my bag and I pull out, it's an illusion, but it looks like I'm pulling out like a tapestry to put across this beautiful this rickety table to make it like very like beautiful and official. And then I tap my papers on the table and I raise my little hand and I say, "That will be me."
Well, Corbin and Slake should also follow you because we're part of the defense, but we just will sit there quietly.
Yeah. Well, what I want to do is I want to actually keep. I think I'm busy like looking around up at where I saw the guard fall.
Yeah.
Corbin will follow you up then and just sit silently next to you.
Then Mary can come too.
And
Mary will also come.
Mary is sitting very stiffly next to Corbin. She is still holding the same papers. They are getting visibly wet from the sweat on her hands.
We love it.
Corbin like gently puts her papers like down in her lap so they're not as obvious to see.
When you do, Corbin, you like they tear a little bit because they're so wet.
Christ!
Mary signs under the table to you, Corbin, like, "I never thought I'd have to be in a trial. They always told me no one would put me on trial as a goddess. I was told every day that I am above the law."
Corbin pats Mary's little knee reassuringly.
Oh boy.
And Selny comes out after you and says, "I vouch for this team of legal professionals."
Corbin like closes his eyes and like saves this memory.
And there's an audible gasp from the crowd, and the king leans forward and says, "Lady Selny, this is," and she shakes her head and says, "Your Majesty, this has gone too far. The events in the city are out of control, and you have done nothing to remedy or stop them. And while the events of the last few days have been trying, this team of people
I tap my papers.
will demonstrate not only that those who are on trial today are not acting with criminal intent or intent to spread terror, but that, in fact, there are problems in this city which run much deeper than anybody has acknowledged, and that those who are on trial are, in fact, the only ones trying to do anything about it. I don't know what I'm supposed to do in a legal setting, and I will sit down." And the king, like, he rubs his forehead and he goes, "My lady, please."
I hold out my fist for a lowdown fist bump.
Sally looks at you very begrudgingly, gives you a little fist bump. And the king he's rubbing the bridge of his nose. He's like, "My lady, this is a ceremonial trial. It is not customary for there to be a legal defense." And Sally gives him a look and says, "Well, figure it out." And she sits down next to you, Fran. And Fran, what's your spell save DC?
I believe it is 17 or 18.
Okay, don't worry about it.
Okay.
You're good.
Oh my god, what the fuck?
Taryn is trying to, he can like see through
Yeah,
shit.
he can see shit.
Taryn
And maybe other people too.
Taryn looks annoyed, but he does not look suspicious.
Okay.
All right, the king sighs. He says, "Oh, I suppose then you may proceed with your evidence, whatever it may be."
I stand up and I say, "Thank you, Your Majesty." Okay, so hold on. We have to figure out how we're gonna do this.
I think we start with the spores. We start with like there is a scourge.
Yeah, we
plaguing
acknowledge
the city.
the spore problem because that's uncontested. Everybody acknowledges.
Yeah, and that's how we're gonna win sentiment because people will be like, "Yeah, we don't like spores.
That's a problem."
Our drug.
Okay. And I say, "It's true, as you say, that there has been a dark presence in this city. Something that has been plaguing the minds of every dwarf who walks through our warrens. Something that snatches the innocent from their beds, never to be seen again. But it's not these people you have on trial here today. What we've seen and what our client has been investigating is the incredibly detrimental spore problem we have on our hands. And and it does relate to this trial.
And there's a murmur from the crowd. Why don't you roll me we'll say a persuasion check.
Corbin casts guidance. Corbin.
Corbin is going to use up all his spell slots.
I literally am going to use all my fucking spell slots.
That's fine.
To get you through this.
And I guess during this, I'm also, if at some point I can make another perception check.
Go for it, yeah.
Okay, so that is only a 13.
With guidance?
With guidance.
Shit. And my perception check was an 8.
Okay, Slake, you are too busy seeing how the crowd is reacting to notice anything else, and the crowd does not seem to be very convinced at this point. They're kind of looking around like, okay, what does this have to do with anything?
Okay.
Which is fair.
Which is fair. At this point, if they were convinced, I wouldn't understand that.
Councilman Taryn sits up a little bit and he says, I fail to see what this has to do with the magical chaos that has been sown through the city these past few days. Yes, we acknowledge that there is a problem with drugs plaguing the lower tiers of the city, but what evidence do you have that this has in any way related to what we are here discussing today?
I hold up the manifests that we got from that really mean guy with the fire that show that the spores came from the Titacairn. And I say, this evidence shows that the spores that have been plaguing the city come from your very Titacairn, counselor.
Gasps.
So I'm
Rhubarb.
Watermelon, peas and carrots.
So I'm not surprised you wouldn't want to talk about it.
And the king motions to a servant and says, clerk, please bring the evidence up to the council table.
And I hand it over.
Yeah, the servant comes and hands the documents to the council table, and they each look at them in turn while speaking to each other and pouring themselves more drink. And as soon as they get to Councilman Taryn, he takes one look at them, scoffs, and he says, this proves nothing. It says something called SPR came from the industrial district. How on earth does this tie spores to the Titacairn?
What else do you think it stands for? Special pony rides, you idiot! Obviously, it stands for spores. This came from the office of the man who has been distributing them throughout the city. You can ask any dealer on any corner.
Are you suffering from high-quality podcasts? You see, quality podcasts stimulate parts of your brain, leading to an irksome condition called thinking. But suffer no more, my friend. Introducing Discount Storytime's blend of fictional nonsense and rancid gibberish to provide soothing relief. Try Discount Storytime today. Available on most podcast catchers and at discountstorytime.com.
Consult your healthcare provider before listening to Discount Storytime. Not intended to treat unicyclitis, pickleball liver, or jittering expectations.
Why don't you give me another persuasion check?
Okay.
Guidance.
I did roll well.
Good.
I got a 19.
Can I do another perception?
Yeah, go ahead.
Can I also do a perception? Because I think Hannah did bad.
You are correct. I got 13.
Well, I got a 2, so.
All right. Neither of
I
you.
can't perceive shit.
We're like so impressed by Fran's lawyering.
We're really impressed by the lawyer.
Yeah,
lawyering.
you've forgotten what you saw on the roof for the moment. You're just so as you guys, when you look around, you see that people are starting to lean in a little bit now. They are looking at Fran with like more thoughtful looks on their faces as they glance around at each other. And the king taps the arm of his chair, making a loud thudding noise, and he says, "Language, please. There is no need to turn to personal insults in a professional trial."
Respond to the evidence, not to how I presented it, please.
Ow! The king is handed the evidence, and he just glances at it and then, hands it back to another clerk.
Because he's a Nasto.
Yeah, because he's an Esto. Which we will be proving.
It says the councilman is correct. This evidence, while it can certainly be spun to tell a certain story, it does not, in fact, prove anything.
So, Your Highness, you want to hear a story, do you? I call... What's her last name?
You do not know.
I call Selmy, Wolf of the Waves, to the stand.
Yeah.
Selny stands up and goes, that's not my name.
Point at her.
Sure.
Hello, and welcome to another mid-roll. I'm sorry this episode was a little late, but I just adopted a dog who you may hear sniffling in the background, and he's the most beautiful boy in the whole wide world. His name is Googie, and I love him more than anyone, or anything, or any when or any place. So, now that that's out of the way, I hope you're enjoying this crazy lawyery episode. And first of all, today I'm going to get into a lovely message. Hopefully listening to us play D&D has made you want to play yourself, either for the first time or as a comfortable return to a beloved hobby. So why not do it better? RPGBot is an online resource for both new gamers and veterans of tabletop role-playing games, including informative articles and online tools to help you and your friends be better players and play better games. It also hosts the RPGBot.podcast, where the hosts discuss game mechanics, review RPG products, and talk to exciting creators. Known worldwide for deep mechanical analysis, character optimization, and detailed instructional content. If you want to enrich your Dungeons & Dragons or Pathfinder experience, or even if you're just overwhelmed by the player's handbook, RPGBot is the place to go. Check out the RPGBot.podcast on your podcast platform of choice, and find them at rpgbot.net/podcast. And speaking of this wonderful podcast, they had the lovely Hannah on their podcast recently. So if you search up Hannah Colbert on your podcatcher, you will also be able to find that. And again, their podcast is rpgbot.podcast. I also would like to thank our Apple Podcast reviewers for this episode. You guys are so wonderful, and we really appreciate your kind words and the time you take to write them. So thank you to Naiad Naomi, Fui Kazooie, Mundane Monster, Space Kitties 22, Person Dude Guy Yup Yup, back at it again, who has given us the helpful message that we need to change our schedule on our website. Thank you for that. Will do. Fraylin, is that a ship name? We love to see it. And Rad Aquacoder. Thank you guys so much. Seriously, it means the world. It really does. Thank you. And speaking of things that mean the world, or people that mean the world, I would love to thank our Patreon new patrons. Thank you to SW Habor, to Epin, to Radioactive Dreams, to Anders the Magnificent, to Chris, to Kat, to Jewel, to Emma, to Haley, and to S. Kato. Thank you guys so much. It means so much. If you want to become a patron and support this podcast and give us more time to podcast, we all, are working our day jobs. And if you want to give us more time and energy to focus on Dames and Dragons, then feel free to hop on over to patreon.com/damesanddragons, where we post outtakes, deleted scenes, exclusive art, maps, polls about merch, sneak peeks, bonus campaigns, which is our personal favorite thing that we do. We've got live streams. We've got video content of us playing other games. We've got the $10 tier where we send out prints and gifts to you all year long. So if you are interested in any of that, we would really appreciate it so much if you would pop on over to Patreon and subscribe. Thank you. And now let's hear what they're doing over on the Geekspective Podcast Network.
Do you love watching movies? Do you hate watching movies? Boy oh boy, do I have the show for you. On Watching Movies, April and Kenny watch movies. Instant classics like Pride and Prejudice and The Mummy. Despicable gutter trash like Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire. divisive, controversial picks like 2001, A Space Odyssey. Each month, our hosts discuss and analyze a movie, then put out a watch-along commentary track, enticing. Whether you like watching movies or hate watching movies, you'll love Watching Movies with April and Kenny, now streaming on your favorite platform.
Well, the time has come for a message to Chantel. Chantel, the code word is Alexander Vanderleck, and the sleeper agent is active. Go!
Honorable Counsel, Your Majesty, my husband, I accompanied the defendants in their investigation of the ruins of the Titacairn after the attack yesterday, which there is no proof that they were involved in this attack. I should state that right out loud. But I did accompany them to investigate the aftermath, and the building had suffered quite a bit of damage. And she glances back at you guys and, like, damage that may or may not have been sustained during the attack.
I shake my head.
And Sally goes, or probably was or wasn't. No?
I shake my head, and I do like a cut off, like, throat gesture.
Anyway, while in the facility, we found one very disturbing piece of evidence. Did we bring... And she sort of gestures to her arm.
Oh, we brought the arm.
Yeah,
I made sure.
Oh, we have the arm.
That we brought the arm.
It's wrapped up in some
Butcher
cloth.
paper.
Yeah. Some cloth.
Yeah, and she gestures for you to hand it over.
Yeah, I solemnly bring it up.
And she unwraps it, and there's a big gasp from the audience, and the council... one of them who's eating, like, some nuts, like, gags and starts coughing, and the counselor next to him starts, like, pounding him on the back.
Does Councilman Taryn gag, or does he lick his lips?
Why don't you make me a perception check?
Okay.
If he licks his lips, that's so fucking ridiculous.
I got a 19! Technically a 20.
19. Okay, so when you look at Councilman Taryn, he looks disappointed.
Like, this was not according to his plan.
Yeah, this should not have been left behind. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Get fucked, Taryn.
And so Selmy says,
He's like, that was my lunch, and I forgot it in the restaurant.
Oh, no, I left that in the break room. Yeah. So Selmy takes the arm, and she points the bone end towards the council, and she says, as you can see, the owner of this arm, something has happened to them. The bones on the inside are glowing faintly. We see it often in the teeth of those who have been heavily abusing spores. It is reasonable to assume that this affliction carries to the rest of their bones as well. And this was found in I do not wish to offend the more delicate constitutions of the nobility in the audience, but it was found in a bloody pit.
And where was that pit?
It was in the Titacairn. Did I not say that?
You did, but I wanted to repeat it for emphasis. Thank you, Selny. And where, Lady Selny, did we find this note? And I pull out the note that, like, we found in the break room that, like, talked about giving the subjects more doses.
This note was found in a trash bin in the break room, among several cheese cracker wrappers. And the king leans forward and he says, will you please read the note aloud? I'm afraid my eyesight's not what it used to be.
I look down at it, and then I quickly run over to Selny on the stand to give it to her to read.
And so Selny takes it from you, and she reads, it says, Dorcas, subjects are not responding to inoculation fast enough. Need another batch. Round them up from the red tier. And there's a series of gasps from everywhere. And the king leans forward and he goes, and is this note signed by anyone? And Selny says, it is not.
Thank you, Selny, for reading that. Although I can read. I gesture to the arm and I say, surely this poor person was one of those subjects being inoculated with the spores. Your investigators witnessed several such subjects wasting away in there, did they not?
They did. Your lawyership.
Salty. But Fran just like bows to her.
And the king strokes his beard and he says, I do find it troubling, the existence of this note. However, there is no mention of the note about spores, nor is it signed by anybody. Do we have any indication of who this Dorcas is?
Well, I mean, I would assume it's someone who works in the Titacairn.
Unfortunately, assumptions are not a sound basis for a legal argument.
Well, unfortunately, somebody destroyed all the records in the Titacairn, so we can't find out, can we?
And everybody is there's a murmur throughout the crowd. And will you please roll a persuasion check?
Okay. Oh God. Yeah. Okay. I got a 17.
So the murmurs all grow a bit louder as people discuss what this note could mean, or is this evidence? Ooh, I don't know. It seems kind of damning. And the king turns back to Councilman Terran and he says, Councilman, is there anybody in the employ of the Titacairn that goes by the name Dorcas? And the counselor steeples his fingers and he says, not to my knowledge.
Sounds like you're a bad boss.
And he waves a hand and he says, I am the leader of many employees and many subjects of the districts that I represent. I'm afraid I do not know all of them by name.
My point stands. And I pull out the blueprints and I hand them to the clerk as well. And I say, as you can see, Your Majesty, there's a passageway that was built recently in the Titacairn. And this passageway seems to lead to nowhere. Except, and I look at Selny, it doesn't lead to nowhere, does it?
Selny looks at it and says, in our investigation of the Titacairn, we found that this passageway led to a colony of mushrooms, which produced the same glowing spores that have been plaguing our streets.
Thank you, Selny. And I point to the other door, which is where all the people like dying on the mats were. And I say, and what do you know about this room?
That room was where there were mats laid out with the afflicted, those who were addicted to the substance to the point of hallucination. And that was where they were laid out.
And have any of these people been seen since?
To my knowledge, no.
Interesting. I look at Taryn.
Taryn raises his eyebrows, but he doesn't say anything. And the king looks at this evidence. Can you make me another persuasion check? And I will let you make a perception check too.
Okay.
Guidance.
Okay.
Guidance.
Okay. I got a 14.
Okay. All right.
22.
A 22. All right. So, Slake, you, as the crowd sort of seems a little less convinced now, they're leaning back. And when you look up again at the top row of the amphitheater, you notice there are a lot less guards than there were when you first came in. Oh my God. In fact, you don't see any up there anymore.
I whisper to Corbin and Mary, up there, the guards.
Mary signs, there are no guards.
That's what I'm saying. When we came in, there were a bunch. Now there aren't any.
Corbin stands up and says, ladies and gentlemen of the council, could we please have a minute? It's new.
Fran whirls around.
We've just received new evidence. Can we please have a short recess to reconvene?
And Councilman Taryn, now he does lean forward and he says, I assume this is because you've realized that this evidence points to nothing and is nothing more than a fable made up by a outcast of the court.
Actually, no, that's not it at all.
I motion that we conclude this trial. It is all baseless.
We have more to say.
And the king waves a hand and says, Councilman Taryn, please be seated, and may the legal representative please wrap this up.
I look back at Corbin with like wide eyes.
Corbin like gestures up to where the guards were.
And Fran looks up and she whispers, Phelan too. And she, in a panic, she pulls out the ring from her pocket that belonged to the nobleman. And they were the Strata family.
I believe so, yeah.
And she holds it up and says, I call Lady Strata to the stand.
Woo! And there's a murmur through the crowd, and Lady Strata stands up, and she makes her way down to the floor of the amphitheater, and she says, I did not agree to testify at a trial. And she looks at the king, who sort of gives her this look like, I don't know.
I look at her with like sad eyes, and I hold up the little ring.
She looks at the ring and goes, what do you want me to say? That is my son's ring. It is my son's ring. I have nothing else to tell you.
Did you know that your son had an addiction to the spores?
There's another gasp through the crowd. And she winces and says, this is very cruel to bring my family's business to this stage.
I'm trying to save other people's families.
Yes, my son had a problem. There's nothing else to say about it. I failed as a mother. Is that what you want me to say? I let my son dive into debauchery and drugs, and now this, and now you bring me here to cry in front of all these people and to make it seem like you were right. You have the crying mother on your side.
I mean, I put the ring back on the hand. I don't think this was your fault, my lady. I think it was theirs. And I look at the king and the counselor.
All right, give me one more persuasion check.
Guidance.
Please, God. Okay, I got a 17.
A 17. All right, and people, the murmur of the crowd turns sad and sympathetic as the Lady Strata leaves quickly, hiding her face in her hands. And the king steeples his fingers and he looks very, very serious, and he says, while I admit that this evidence is troubling, I still fail to see how it exonerates the criminals who are on trial today. It certainly points to deeper problems within the city which must be investigated. However, there is a booming sound from somewhere in the distance. And the whole cavern shakes so violently that dust and small rocks fall loose from the ceiling.
Okay, I grab my friendos.
And the king looks around and he looks up to the guards at the amphitheater top ring and sees that they aren't there. And he looks around. He starts to say something, but is cut off as screams echo through the cavern, joined by more panicked voices and more. And then a roar that turns your blood to ice. The unmistakable roar of a dragon.
My fucking spell slots on guidance.
And I watched you do it and I said nothing.
It's fine. I saved my strongest spell slot, so.
Okay.
And Selny looks around and she goes, What was that? The crowd of the amphitheater begins to get out of their seats and head towards the exits as the king calls for calm. Let us be reasonable while we find out what has happened. And as he is saying this, in the confusion, a line of smoke, like black ink in water, trickles down from the roof. And then a figure steps out from behind the throne. Phelan looks at you, Fran. His eyes black as inky pools, showing nothing. Except for one quick wink before he plunges a knife into the king's heart. He leans close to the king's ear, and you see his lips move, but you don't hear what he says. And then he steps away, and he's gone. And the king's body slumps back limp against his throne. The council flees from their table, scrambling out of their tall chairs and tumbling onto the floor of the amphitheater with none of the pomp or grace they had only moments before. All except for Counselor Taryn, who looks at the five of you and smirks a little.
I put up my middle fingers.
Yeah, I was just gonna say I flick him off.
We all put up our middle fingers, including Mary. Mary especially does
Mary
it.
especially puts up her middle finger.
Yes.
Meanwhile, Selny is grabbing at you guys and says, we have to go. We have to go now.
Got it.
Fine.
And as you are leaving, you see Counselor Tarn, who leans over the king's body, which convulses once, twice, and then he rolls over to the side of his throne and heaves a red and pulpy mass out of his mouth.
What?
His body twitches again, and when he rises, he's taller.
No.
His hair and beard more golden. His skin looks almost bronzed. But the most startling difference is his teeth.
Fuck.
Black as volcanic glass.
What?
We fucked up.
We fucked up.
Teeth, dude.
We fucked up.
Yo, that wasn't our fault.
And Selny, like, as, you know, you guys are at the doorway out of the amphitheater watching this, and she just goes still. And her face goes slack as she watches this happen. What do you guys want to do?
So basically, like, as soon as Torva shows up, Fran is, like, so undone by that she immediately drops the seeming spell, and none of us are disguised anymore.
And Mary steps forward, dropping the wet papers. She brings up her hands and then slams them down into the ground of the amphitheater. And there is a ripple of golden light that surrounds the amphitheater in a thick, opaque shell. So you guys are just outside of it. And she takes a step back and then signs, that won't hold him for long. Let's go. And he just stares at you guys with a black grin.
There's still the dragon outside.
There's still the dragon outside.
Okay,
Yes.
we run outside then, I guess.
All right. So you guys, and like Selny is distraught, and you have to more or less drag her out of the amphitheater.
And we do. And I give Torva one last disgusted look.
Yeah. And he just grins watching you leave, unperturbed by this containment shield, which will fail eventually. He's a god. He's patient.
I know we can't, like, fight him in this moment.
Do you think if I cast Blight on him, he might die?
Yeah, I think
so fucking
I think that'll be the end of the podcast. I think that'll work. So I think you should definitely do that.
God.
I cast Reduce on him, and he becomes half as big.
Yes!
No, I have to touch him. I'm not gonna go touch him.
You don't want to go touch him.
We just probably shouldn't have even come here.
We probably should have just fucking left. But like, y'all can deal with it on your own.